the damage, make a list of everything. There are definitely going to be things that need to be fixed immediately, and you shouldn't wait. Don't think that you have to hear back from your insurance agent, because you don't. All you have to do is document it with the pictures, and then keep the receipts for anything that you buy, so that when you make the claim, you have the documentation and you have all the paperwork that goes with it. You know, we talk about these things all the time when it comes to snowstorms and rainstorms, but it's really the same situation for any kind of an act of Mother Nature. Another thing that's important to remember is that if it is your neighbor's tree and it is your yard, it is your problem. If it is your neighbor's tree on your car, it is your problem. In other words, anything that's on your property is something that you're going to have to deal with. And this is your insurance agent is your best friend. You know, I talk all the time about how important it is to have somebody who can be an advocate for you. Because even if, as I said, they're going to be very busy tomorrow, but they will get back to you, and they'll help you to document everything and to make a claim. And there's often a lot of confusion about what's covered and what's not covered. And again, if it's on your property, even if it was started in your neighbor's house, and in a situation like we've seen repeatedly tonight after the tornadoes, that's occurring a great deal. If it was your neighbor's property and it ended up in your yard, it is your problem.
Susan, I have a question for you. You talked about documenting, you know, all the things that are damaged, and also then calling your insurance agent. Do you need to document and keep a timeline of when you called your agent and how often you called, and if you left a message and with whom you spoke with? How important is that? You know,
you bring up a very good point, because it's always important to have a paper trail. So if you make the call to your insurance agent and you leave a message, even though you expect that there will be a recording of when that message came in, it is a good idea to, you know, to just write on a piece of paper. Called the agent at such and such a time on such and such a date. And like you said, if you do talk to somebody in the office and you leave a message that way, it's just always important to have, you know, the time and the place and who you spoke to. Because that way, if it's on paper, there are no questions later. And again, take pictures, really take pictures. Take pictures of everything, even if you don't think you're going to need them. And maybe you won't. But it's always a good idea to just have that documentation.
And back them up, too, Susan.
Yeah. You know, and what's so good is that so many people's phones nowadays have cameras on them. So it's not like somebody doesn't necessarily have to have a special camera. You just use your phone.
Right, exactly.
Or use, you know, if you don't have a phone that has a camera on it, then maybe ask a neighbor, see if somebody would be willing to help you out, or a family member in that way.
It's just really important, you know, because that way, like I say, there's not any question. And also, people sometimes think, well, you know, if I don't talk to my insurance agent, if I haven't filed the claim, I can't do the repairs, I can't fix the damage. And that's just not true. If it needs to be fixed immediately, just go ahead and do it as quickly as you can.
What are the ramifications, Susan? If you suggested people call right away, but if somebody waits a week, somebody waits 2 weeks, what's the downside in that?
You know, generally there really isn't a downside, because there's a period of time by which you have to, you know, to file a claim. It's just a matter of getting it done, because the minute you get it done, as soon as you get it done, you get the process rolling, and that's just always a good idea. But don't worry, folks. If you don't call immediately, then, you know, you're not going to lose out. Don't think that if I don't call tomorrow, I can't file a claim. That just isn't true. As a matter of fact, from the snowstorms that we saw last winter, you know, we told people repeatedly that you have several months to file a claim, and you don't need to worry that if you don't, you know, you're going to not be able to. There's you know, very generous statute of limitations.
All right, News Center 5's Susan Warnick with some very important information, and a lot of folks are going to be needing that information at their fingertips tomorrow, and we'll post that on our website as well, on the BostonChannel.com, for anyone who needs to go.
And the other thing, you know, folks, if you have a question about your insurance, contact me through the BostonChannel.com too, and as well as our Facebook page. Hopefully everybody is one of our Facebook friends.
If you aren't, you can become one right now.
Exactly right. Just go to our Facebook page and sign up to be a friend, because it's the best way really to get information to us and from us, and it's just so easy to do. So if you do have a question, folks, about your insurance, you know, about what's covered or how to file a claim, claim or whatever, please don't hesitate. Don't be shy. That's why we're here.
All right, Susan, you always have such great information, consumer information for us. We really appreciate it. We'll let you go back and gather a few more details for us. We're approaching 10:30 on this Wednesday, June 1st, and it has been an extraordinary day here in the state of Massachusetts. Some 19 communities affected by severe weather, whether it be tornadoes, whether it be just severe thunderstorms. We do know that the National Weather Service has now confirmed that 7 tornadoes have at least touched down in Westfield, Wilbraham, Brimfield, Oxford, Springfield, Munson, and Sturbridge. And no doubt tomorrow, once the investigators go out, there may indeed be more confirmed tornadoes. There were so many different communities that we heard from today. We've been listening for the governor. He's had a couple of press conferences earlier today. We understand that he is about to arrive in the Springfield area probably in the next 15-20 minutes or so, probably do a little bit of an assessment, and then we'll speak to the media and to all of you once again at the top of the hour around 11 or 11:15. We believe that Senator Kerry may in fact be with him as well, so we'll be waiting to hear what he has seen now that he's on the ground there in the western part of the state.
And you're looking at some of the extensive damage that has been cast in the shadow of these tornadoes that moved through earlier today, especially hard hit Westfield, Brimfield, and West Springfield. And in those 3 communities, there have been a total of 4 deaths that we know of. And obviously, daylight will reveal whether or not there are any more fatalities tomorrow. There have also been a number of injuries. 33 people injured and taken to Mercy Medical Center in Springfield. Several of them at this very hour undergoing surgery now to try to heal some of their injuries. We don't know the extent of those, but we will stay on top of that for you. You've been watching extensive coverage, and obviously in a situation like this, our first and foremost priority is getting you the information you need so that we can minimize, if not avoid altogether, loss of life in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
We also want to point out that the governor has declared a state of emergency for Massachusetts and called up 1,000 National Guards people. We want to get to News Center 5's Jorge Quiroga. And Jorge, refresh my memory of where you are this evening, and I can see there's extensive damage behind you.
In Munson and what's left of this town. Now, a lot of times you hear people talk about bad damage after an accident. They say it's like a tornado. Well, this is the real thing. Take a look at this. This is the First Congregational Church. That's what's left of the steeple. You can see it was peeled right off the top there, and it's strewn across the front. Now, back here, let's take a look. This is, you see the crews, the utility crews. They're cutting back all the treetops that have fallen. And if you, the camera, you can point the camera up a little bit. You see, this is the real problem at this point tonight. A lot of the trees that came down on the power lines. So at this point, because there's so many live wires down across the street, they've cut the power off to the entire town. You can see in the distance there, all you can see is actually the lights from the utility trucks and the police trucks. The rest of the town is in total darkness. Now, at this point, let me tell you, we have seen destruction. We have seen havoc. We have seen multiple houses collapsed, multiple buildings also collapsed. At this point, however, the fire department, which is in charge of the command center, they tell us they have multiple injuries, but they won't tell us, they don't tell us, or they haven't been able to, at least for the record, tell us exactly how many and the extent of those injuries. From word of mouth, from the people around town, from the people that we have spoken to, they're saying people have been injured, but at this point, nobody has talked to us about any fatalities. Again, the town is in total darkness. This is a absolutely devastating situation here.
I know that the town is in darkness, and that certainly makes your job all the more difficult. But have you been able to get around and tell whether or not this is an isolated part of town or if this is town-wide, the devastation that we're seeing?
We walked around a good chunk of this town. Now, by the looks of it, the path of the tornado was about 300 yards wide, and I'm told by a police officer it looks like it went about 1.5 miles through pretty much the center of town. A lot of the historic homes in town have been either damaged or destroyed.
Have you been talking to people, or is it all emergency crews out at this hour, Jorge?
No, we talked to a number of people who first said that, you know, it was around 5:30 in the afternoon. They looked outside. It started raining pretty badly. And then the hail came down the size of golf balls. And then the wind really picked up, then the lightning. And then they decided to, folks we talked to, they said, many of them said they went down into the basement, and a few of them said, you know, we stayed there and we prayed. When we came out, they just couldn't believe what they were seeing. Their homes were, as I said, destroyed.